Sorry, we're back. My husband called in the middle of filming that video, so I'm just gonna finish it.
Getting Cam, right?
Yeah. So anyway, I'm just begging you to please not go to your doctor already pregnant. Please make sure that you take the precautions and find a doctor, number one, who's willing to help you and who is going to say, you know what? Yes, this is super, super risky, but I'm willing to help you. And these are the steps we'll take. We've done this before. Find somebody who's done it before, number one. Don't be their first patient. Find somebody. And if you need somebody and you're not from Ohio, Kurt Daniels is your man at Ohio State University. Shout out, Dr. D. He's, like I said, he's had people, I think he had a girl from China. I'm pretty sure she's from China. Like, they come from all over the world to see him. He's that good. But yes, find a doctor who has done this before, who's willing to give you the care that you need and to really put the effort in to find a care team that will take care of you and who's done it before. And, you know, don't lose hope. I feel like that's one of the things is, you know, as women, a lot of us want to have babies, and when you're told you can't do something, like, your world is over. And I know Julie and I were kind of talking about that earlier, was, you know, what part of this is the hardest for you? Is it the fact that you worry that you're going to get worse and die? Or is it the fact that you can't do things that you thought you would be able to do because you were once healthy? So don't give up on things that you dream about. I mean, I didn't take no for an answer for a really long time. And I got the desired effect, although it came at a price. And I mean, it took me over a year to heal. My belly was open for a year healing. I had home care nursing. I literally was hanging by a thread in survival mode. And I do want to say one other thing, and again, this is going back to Christianity and my belief in God, and I apologize for that if it offends anybody. I won't apologize. I'm sorry.
No, yeah,
I'm not going to apologize.
Like
because I just don't want people to be like, oh, she's this Bible-thumping weirdo. Without Dr. Daniels and without God and without every single one of the doctors at Ohio State and the nurses, I would not be here. And this is something that came to me, and I'm not a religious freak. I don't handle snakes or anything like that. But I do believe in prayer. I believe in having a faith unlike any other, because I feel like sometimes when you have nothing else, all you have left is your faith. And one day I was doing dishes, and I go through, every year at Camden's birthday, I go through that moment of, wow, I should be like every other mom, like, oh, here's my baby, and he's 6 now he's 7, and he's a miracle. He is a miracle, but it's very bittersweet, because on the flip side of that, hey, I almost died today. Like,
there's a lot
could have happened
that goes along.
Yes, a lot could have happened. Everything that went wrong could have been even more wrong, and it could have been a very, very different outcome. And I should be blessed that it's not, and I am blessed. I know that. But I go through those moments of, oh my gosh, I remember this horrible dream I had, and just the trauma of everything. Like, I remember waking up to them shoving a feeding tube down my nose. Like, just crazy things like that, like, really get to me. And I just have to remind myself, like, things turned out wonderful. But I remember this last year at Camden's 7th birthday, about a week before, I was doing dishes. And I started thinking about the story and how things worked out. And I just started thinking about that doctor that came out of my room and said, I've been sitting by your bed for 2 days trying to figure out how I can save your life, or how I can save her life. And if there's a God you believe in, start praying. Yeah. And here's the crazy thing. I had this vision, and it was real as you're sitting here right now. I had this vision that Jesus was walking past my doorway in the hallway, just like waiting on his turn to come in and do his thing. Like, I picture him in like his Jesus sandals and everything. No, not then. This is like recent that I saw this.
Oh, recently.
I have, because he's a gentleman. He doesn't force himself on anybody. And I had this real vision that And all that time, he was just pacing in front of my door. Like, he never left me. He was there the entire time. He didn't leave Bryce. He was living through him. But I pictured him pacing outside my door. Like, I'm here when you need me. I'm here when you're ready. And he was just waiting on his turn to get in there to be with me, to do what he does, and that is create miracles. And I believe in him now. I want to apologize for that. I apologize if you think I'm pushing it on you. Apologizing. I know. I just don't want people to think that, like, this is a Bible thumping crazy person.
I think they know that by now. That you're not. I mean, not that you are, but that it's not like that.
But yeah, so again, in giving credit where credit is due, God played a huge, huge role in this. Doctors definitely are amazing, and I think it was very telling that doctor came out and was like, I've done everything I can do. You got to give this to somebody else now. Like, there's nothing else I can do. I think that was very telling of him, because people always battle that whole science and religion thing. I'm like, when a scientist comes out and says, I can't, God steps in and says, I will. And he did. So anyways, that is kind of the basis. Camden was 1 pound, 11 ounces when he came out. He fit in the palm of my husband's hand, and then his legs kind of dangled down here. He's really tall. His head was about this big. I don't know if I can do that. And his wrist fit in my husband's wedding ring. He was so tiny. I have pictures, but obviously they're on my phone that I can't show right now. But he was in the NICU for 76 days. He did very well. He was off the vent in, I think, 12 hours. He did amazing. Again, the NICU was amazing. They actually, when I was finally able to see him, my nurse would call over to the NICU and say, hey, I'm bringing Mom Harris over. They would literally move isolettes around and move things out of the way to make room for my big bed to come in to see my baby. So, I mean, they just went to, like, extra lengths. And I remember the first time I went in to see him, it was really cool because everybody had been talking about me because they knew the story. They knew that I was dying. They knew that all of this horrible stuff had happened. And they knew that they never had a face of this mom that belongs to this baby. And when they wheeled me in there, I remember looking around in a sea of nurses and people with tear-filled eyes. Was just like, they finally had the final piece that belonged to that puzzle. My nurses cried and we all cried together. It was crazy how everything kind of went down. But that's kind of the gist of our story. It's super long. I've done a TV story. I'm just now doing a newspaper story article. So I like getting my story out there because I feel like it gives somebody hope who has no hope.
Well, yeah, because this is probably one of the most extreme cases.
Yeah, it is very extreme.
Because we have another friend who has, is she type 1? WHO?
I don't know which type she is.
She
had a baby. After me. Actually,
and it went very smoothly. I mean, as smooth as it could go.
Right.
But
she didn't have complications that I had. Yeah, and I've actually been, which is really cool. That's another thing that I do like, is when they have a pregnant patient come in, they'll always call me and be like, hey, we have a pregnant girl. She's on such and such floor. Would you mind coming in and talking with her and sharing your story? I'm like, yep, I'll be there. You know, like, I love going in and talking to these girls because it is scary. Like, you know, you want it so bad and it finally happens, but then you get there and you're like, oh crap, this is really happening. Like, what if I die?
Yeah.
And that is the thing, is like, what if you die? I mean, you can think about it all you want, but when you're in that moment finally,
I'm sure it's terrifying.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's the story. If you want to know more, there's a lot more to know. There's a lot of stuff that went down because I was in the coma for 12 days, so a lot happened in between.
Yeah, what was your total hospital stay?
73 days.
Ugh.
Yeah. I feel like I should have had a wing named after me.
Right.
So yeah. So that's kind of the story, and
so happy that you got what you wanted. And
yes.
You're here.
He's 7. He's beautiful.
Now, does he have lung issues?
So he does not have any lung issues. He does have a bicuspid aortic valve, which they just said that could cause problems in his adult years. But he's fine now. He does have asthma.
I was going to say, I thought he had asthma.
He has asthma. That's,
pretty common with any kids, really.
Yeah. He does have asthma, and he was delayed in doing everything pretty much. So he's a little socially delayed. He's not quite At a 7-year-old, I think he acts kind of more like a 6-year-old, sort of. He just hasn't caught up to his peers. Yeah. He still runs like a toddler sometimes. But
he broke his leg.
Yeah, he did break his leg.
So
he's very healthy, and we're very, very blessed that him coming at 28 weeks, that he's as healthy as he is. So, yeah. But if you guys have any questions, just comment. I will try to answer any questions you might have. And thank you for listening, because I know this video is super long. And next time we're going to talk to Julie and find out about her scare and her brush with death, because it's really scary. So, thank you guys, and we will see you next time. See ya.
Bye.